now we're going to bring out actress, advocate, mother, humanitarian, author, and the original, not to be remade or copied, Bionic Woman. Ladies and gentlemen, Lindsay Wagner. So you've joined the Facebook and Twitter and social media crowd. Is that
sort of?
Sort of. Is that?
It's. I usually. It's kind of restricted to the work that I'm doing, whether it's my workshops and retreats or, an autograph show. It's not a personal Twitter,
sure, Facebook
thing.
Is that something that, because for a lot of people,
I just don't have time.
Now, because Jeremy Bullock was here yesterday talking about it, the guy who played Boba Fett, and he said he just can't wrap his head around it because it's just this thing, this technological. I mean, the grandkids pick it up and it's just do this and this and this and that.
I surprisingly haven't had as much problem with the technological end of things as I thought I might. When it first started happening, my kids, I got my first computer because the school that my sons were going to, my older son, they suggested I get him a computer. And we seem to be a family of dyslexics, and so I'm thinking, well, that's going to be hard for a. And they're going, no, it actually helps, because there's certain places in the brain where you use a different part of the brain when you're doing these technological things than you do when you're handwriting or something like that. Anyway, so I got him one, and I watched how he just was flying with it. And I thought, well, that's cool. So I thought, well, I sneak in because I'm dyslexic. I thought, well, I'll try it, and it was easy for me. I was so surprised. And so when this other stuff came out, it's really a function of time for me. I found that I'm actually better than I thought. I can figure things out oftentimes on a computer. So it isn't that. It's more about time. It's more about my life, unlike most people's life, is not very private. So my private time, my private thoughts are kind of like very coveted. They're mine. Leave me alone. Some of them have to be just mine. And and Twitter oftentimes is kind of the personal, sharing your personal stuff, right? I mean, that's why you do it. And so for me, it's kind of counterintuitive for what I want to do.
Sure.
But for talking about the things that I want to talk about and things I like to share, and it's usually more about what the work I'm doing, which would be related to people that I don't know, who would be twittering or I don't know. And a lot of that's personal because, as some of you may know, I do workshops and retreats now.
That's the quiet the mind, open the heart.
Quiet the mind, open the heart. Yeah, and I love talking about that, and that's actually quite personal because it's kind of how I feel about life, things that I've learned, things that have helped me in my life be happier and stay more balanced. And so I like to share that, and that is personal, but it's not.
How did that develop into something that you were doing full time as a project, as a full blown, the workshops and the seminars and all that? How did that come about? Rather than it just being something personal that you did for yourself, now you're sharing it. You're doing the workshops. You're doing the stuff in Arizona.
It's been a strange kind of what's the term we use? A viral effect. It started out. I've been fascinated by the body, mind, and spirit connection my whole life. That's just been a life journey for me. When I was 19, I was quite ill. I had pretty severe ulcers. And I met some people who helped me heal the body through meditation, visualization, and kind of looking at my own emotional, psychological patterns as the source of the stress. People say, well, a lot of us are under stress and we don't have we're in stressful situations, but it's how we handle. What I learned was it was how I saw things that I was going through, the problems in my family or whatever, that's my stress level that was actually making me sick. They helped me see the correlation. They helped me learn the power that we have in our mind and body connection. When they're communicating properly, the life force has the ability to just allow us to flourish. And when they aren't communicating properly, we tend to, the life force doesn't get through to our physical self, and to our, our spiritual, and I say that is not even a religious word, really. I mean, it's certainly, it's in that field as well, but I say it as like the non-tangible part of us that exudes from us. Love is a spiritual principle. But it's also something, if you're an atheist, you still can love, right? That's an energy, a very high frequency that we give off. And so that energy is a good frequency for our body. Mm-hmm. And so I was learning how stress causes the body to break down, and other emotions, our higher emotions, love and joy and those types of things, actually keep our system open and functioning properly, so that the life force that gives us life every second, which we have nothing to do with other than whether we're going to cramp it down or open up to it, restores our health constantly, or keeps us healthy and keeps us alive. And I was able to heal my ulcers without the surgery that I was facing within a week. And so I said, okay, there's a lot here that I haven't learned in my mainstream experience. So I started studying things, and it's been a lifetime passion for me. And when I was, around the year 2002, I started, with some of the techniques that I've learned over the years, I started helping out in the LA County Jail with a program for domestic violence, families that were struggling with domestic violence. My girlfriend had started this program, and I said, I've got some great techniques that'll help, because these hair triggers that we have, or these fears that we carry around and constantly act out from, can actually be diffused without a whole lot of therapy. It's not, we don't have to check into therapy for 20 years. There's some amazing techniques out there, and I've been blessed to encounter them on my own healing journey. And I just said, you got to try these out in this area. So she said, well, come help. So I found myself being there ensconced for quite a few years then. I worked with the LA County Jail. And people who were coming to see what I was doing there ended up saying, well, I want to take that class. And I said, yeah, it's just human stuff. We all have the same problems. It's just, it ends up this way over here, and some people don't have a safety trigger, and that needs to be dealt with in a certain way, but not in a punitive fashion. So so I was invited to do a program for some people who were not a part of that domestic violence program. And then somebody was there. They said, well, would you come to my town and do it? So it was like, all of a sudden I found myself, so it became viral, right? All of a sudden here I was out going and doing other things. And since then, I've been all over the world, almost.
Now, how has that impacted your acting career? I mean, because the acting certainly has given you opportunities to do that kind of thing. Is this something that you're finding that you're focusing a lot more of your time on?
Yes, I have been. It actually I got so involved with it that I just kind of, my whole focus shifted there over the last, it's been really 8 years. But, I shouldn't say but. I don't know. You know how you kind of intuit something maybe is coming into your life? It just kind of feels like some more of the industry stuff's going to be coming back for me now. Mm-hmm. I kind of feel that. And I'm not sure what it is or how it is. But not that I'm giving up what I'm doing at all. But I was so focused on it exclusively that it just, things that came, I wasn't so interested in the offers that were coming. And also, I think when you pull your energy out of one area, you just don't manifest necessarily so much from there, because your energy is focusing over here. And so, I don't know. I feel like a change is coming. I'm not sure what it is.
When you got approached for Warehouse 13, what were your feelings on that? And you get the script, and now suddenly you have to make a decision to come back to a genre that you haven't been in a long time.
Right.
And how did that come about? Did they approach you?
Yes.
You decided, tell your agent, hey, look for some science fiction stuff, or what?
No. They approached me, but it was, interestingly enough, it was after I had this feeling that I think I might be going back to work in the other area again. And so I kind of, thought about it. I prayed about it and meditated and just kind of went, should I be shifting my... I'm really enjoying this, and at the same time, I was kind of starting to miss it. I wasn't missing the hours, I'll tell you that. But I was missing the creative process, that part of it. And then shortly thereafter, when I was thinking about that, I got the offer to do Warehouse 13. And when I looked at it, and I thought, this is fun, this is fun, and it was small. It wasn't a big endeavor that I had to take on. And I thought, well, let me just see how I feel about being back in that camp, because I'm not a very, when I'm out in the world, very vain person. I don't primp. I don't wear makeup, and I wasn't missing any of that either. And some people just love that part of it, but not me. And it's like, stop. Enough.
Now, are we going to see
So I went back and I did it, and I thought, yeah, the hours are not much different, but I really enjoyed the crew. The cast was great to work with. They were so much fun, and I thought, okay, maybe I am ready to come back. I know that a couple years before that, I wouldn't have been interested. And so it's interesting. When you're ready, I think things will come to you when you open up to it.
Now, are we going to see you coming back as Dr. Calder?
Okay, everybody's asking me that, and I have a gag order. So if I have a gag order, what does that tell you?
Okay, the white elephant in the room. The Bionic Woman remake.
With polka dots.
The remake.
Yes.
What'd you think of it? I know I'm putting you on the spot.
Yeah. Gag order, too. Self-imposed gag order. Well, I just thought they didn't get what everybody loved about our show and try and do that. And from what I hear, they didn't really want to. They wanted to make their own thing. They wanted to make their own mark with it. Personally, I think if they wanted to do their own thing, they should have not used the franchise, because everybody was set up and expecting one thing and not getting it. So I think they shot themselves in the foot right there.
Did they ever approach you about coming in, like with the Battlestar Galactica remake? They brought in Richard Hatch and some of the other actors from the original show in order to make that transition with the fans a little bit better. Did they ever talk to you about coming back?
They didn't necessarily want to do that. My agent actually talked to them, and they said, well, maybe she could play the evil doctor or something. Oh, thanks. So it was, it was very, very different. And, the young woman that played the part, people say, oh, she wasn't you. And it's like, but you can't really say that, because she wasn't given the opportunity to play the Jamie, the type of Jamie, that everybody knows and loves. It's not what she was asked to do. So I think she accomplished what she set out to do, what they were setting out to do, which was a very, very different thing.
I think actors sometimes get the short end of the stick about that, because the creative types are the ones that come up with this idea, and the writers and the producers, they have the concept and they have all of the pieces that are put into place, and the actors are just one part of that. And 80% of the time, they're the ones that get blamed if the show goes wrong. No, it's so far out in left field, it's not right, the character's wrong, the acting's wrong. That's a creative decision. And the actors really are the ones that are probably the least responsible for the overall presentation of the show. I mean, Knight Rider was the same way. You had this concept of a remake using, okay, we've got the car, and it's a talking car, and what else? And are we now on the other end of the pendulum where the remakes are now not starting to make sense? You think maybe because so many of them have not worked?
They're being, a lot of times, most of the time, they're being remade for marketing purposes. Not because somebody has a passion to carry it forward, carry the initial thing forward. So that's based on trying to get the audience's interest because you know they love that.
Right.
But it's such a huge mistake when you don't give them that. You know, you say, hey, here's an apple, and it's, you know,
a pear.
It's not even a pear. It's
right.
It's something that's kind of, you know, it's a pah. So they're going to go, pah. You know, they're not going to, that's not an apple.